have reverenced the gospel, and now we want to talk about writing our own gospel. In this liturgical year, we read from the Gospel of Mark, the shortest gospel and the first to be written. Matthew and Luke use Mark as a source for writing their own gospels for their respective communities. John's gospel, as we know, is unique and theological in nature. The synoptic gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke have the style of a narrative, the story of Jesus' life and ministry. These four Gospels were chosen by the Church for being the earliest, the most authentic of the life of Jesus, and the most quoted by the Church Fathers. Other Gospels were written much later in the 2nd and 3rd centuries, reflecting a Gnostic doctrine and therefore were rejected by the Church. In the Gospel story, we have the birth of Jesus and the events surrounding his birth, his incarnation. We also note, for instance, the economic conditions of the Holy Family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Then we have Jesus at the age of 12, lost in the temple, conversing with the learned people of his time. Then we have the baptism of Jesus and his teaching ministry from Galilee to Jerusalem. He chooses his band of apostles. He works all kinds of miracles. He is rejected and almost thrown over the hill and killed. He is betrayed by one of his own, denied 3 times by his chosen leader, scourged, crowned with thorns, and forced to carry a heavy cross that leads to his crucifixion and death. On the 3rd day, he rises from the dead, appears to his disciples several times, and finally ascends to his heavenly Father. The life of Jesus in the Gospel has high points and low points, like your life and my life. Let me just share with you a little bit about my life. So when my mother was going to celebrate her 90th birthday, I had already planned to surprise her. And so on her birthday, we had a big party. And I opened a plastic bag and took out a book that I'd hurriedly bound at Kinko's. And I said, "Mom, I have a surprise for you. I wrote a book to celebrate you and our family, our lives together." I had no idea that something like that could ever be, printed and published someday. But that is how it started, writing this book of memoirs. And I've called it Everything is Grace, and there's a reason why it's called that. Because a couple of centuries earlier, a writer in France by the name of Georges Bernanot wrote a book called The Diary of a Country Priest. And it is a fictional story of a newly ordained priest in the countryside who is appointed to a parish in the country. And as a newly ordained priest, he is dedicated to his ministry. So he deals with all kinds of pastoral situations, as we all do in our parishes. And each one has a unique situation, even among your parishioners. People are not all the same. So there's a very wealthy woman who has lost her son, and therefore is very angry with God. And she wants him to have an explanation for that. Why did God take my son? There is also the mayor of that little town, who is an atheist, who doesn't believe in God, and therefore also confronts the young priest. There's also a young woman who starts spreading rumors about the priest, making people believe that he's an alcoholic. But in reality, what the young priest has is stomach cancer. And so there he is, lying on his deathbed, having almost a year in his suffering. And as he reflects back on his life, he feels that he has been a failure. He has tried to do his best, but things really haven't worked out. He hasn't got answers for everybody with their questions. And yet, when he is dying, he makes this statement: grace is everywhere. Grace is everywhere. Somehow at the end he understands that everything that has happened, the low points as well as the high points, are all part of the mystery of God and the mystery of God's plan for him. That everything has a purpose. We may not always understand it at that moment. And therefore, I entitled my book, Everything is Grace. But not being a country priest, I said everything is grace, the diary of an immigrant, international, global priest. That's my life. That's my story. That's my gospel. So each of us has chapters to our own gospel story. And somehow it's all connected with God's plan for us. Somehow it's all part of a mystical dance. God can see the dance. We may see the chaos and the confusion and the missteps and the tragedies and the suffering, the questions. But it somehow connects for God, who loves us, and one day we will understand the good news of our lives. So we want to take some time today to create our own gospel story. And we're going to do that in the form of a graph. Okay. I'm going to invite everybody. There's a blank sheet of paper in your books, and what you will do is, draw a straight line, and then you can highlight some of the low points and some of the high points.